Hi everyone, it's Kirsty and I'm with Annabelle today.
Hi.
Today's session is about embodiment, and the reason that it was important for me to include this in this course is because embodiment has been so important in my personal journey of allowing myself to ascend, allowing myself to become more aware and to manifest and create what it is that I want. So embodiment means allowing ourselves to be completely in touch, allowing our physical body to be completely in touch with our spiritual body. For me, when I was diagnosed with depression at 27 years of age, and went on that journey, that learning journey, I shared with you the first day that I was put on antidepressants. I was sent down the psychiatric route because I was in the army, and that's what we did. And so I went on that route, but it didn't work for me. So I decided that I wanted to try new things, and just down the road from me was a yoga studio. So I thought, I'm gonna try yoga. Why not? I've never done it before. Why not try it? And being in that yoga class was like I was coming home, and I realized that this was the thing that was going to change my life. Every yoga class I was in there, and I was allowing myself to fully be there and fully be present, and watching my body conflict with my mind, and having all of these thoughts and being aware and present with that. And since then, yoga has been a really important part of my spiritual practice. So I'm not a teacher, but Annabelle is a Qigong teacher, and part of what we're sharing with you today are a whole bunch of processes. I've never learned Qigong, but I've had Annabelle on A Young Warrior with me, and she taught the young women some of these practices, simple practices, and what I love about them is that they're symbolic, and she's going to share more about that with you. But the young people resonated with them so quickly, and they were able to understand that and feel how powerful these processes were. So Annabelle's a Qigong teacher, and that's why I've got her in here today, because I feel for no matter who you are, there'll be some part of this practice that she's sharing with us that will resonate with you. So welcome. And when we went through those practices yesterday morning, I loved just being there behind the camera. I wasn't practicing with you, but I loved being there with the camera and feeling the practices. So tell me about how you got into Qigong and why you got into Qigong in the first place. I want you to share that with everybody else.
Well, actually, I have also practiced yoga for many years, like you, and it made a big difference in my life as well, and awareness what was going on in my body, because I used to be very good at disconnecting actually with my body. I initially started yoga when I became pregnant with Kira, my first child, so that was over 21 years ago, with the thought of, this might help me with labour as well, and to help through that process. So the teacher, I really liked the teacher in Adelaide, and there was a specific part of what she would do that I really loved a lot, and I've gone, I remember thinking I really love this part of yoga, of this process. So I followed her around, and she was my only teacher for many years. Then I came across other yoga teachers, and I moved states and things like that, and that component was missing, the component that I really loved, and I could really feel the flow of energy more through my body. And then I discovered it was actually Qigong that she had incorporated in the yoga, and there are some crossovers with that. And since then, I've just really been called to do more of the Qigong. It's also easier to do for people that may have restrictions as opposed to yoga.
Because you do a meditation class with elderly women, don't you?
That's right. So I've come up with this class which I've been practicing with the ladies, which has just been such a wonderful experience and a gift for me, and to see the impact on them.
And how old are they? How old are these
Well,
women?
they range from, the 60s. Mum is in it as well, 83. So, and they do have some physical restrictions as well. So we actually do these practices in a chair. And I've learnt a lot over the years. So there's a bit of kinesiology, like the brain gym stuff, and breath with meditation. And we share as well in a circle. So it's like a variety class and we just go with what comes in the moment and what's needed for them.
And that is really the crux of it. Is it doesn't matter where you are and your actual capability. It's when you can get the energy flowing through your body, it improves your ability to be able to think clearly. And we've been talking since we started this program about creating stillness and creating space. And whenever we do a physical practice, what we're doing is, it's like we're clearing out our temple, because our body's our temple. So it's like we're clearing out our temple and we're creating space in that temple for the energy to flow more clearly. So it doesn't matter what age you are or your physical capabilities, there'll always be some sort of practice that you can engage in to help you to come back to your body, because it's in this body that we have the realizations, that we have the ability to be able to experience the abundance that we have, to be able to notice what we're manifesting. And just before we came on, you were talking about your personal experience of being in this body. So can you share that with everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. So since a very early age, I had this feeling of being homesick and connection to spirits, to elsewhere other than here. Also, I moved countries when I was really young, and that added to that feeling. But it wasn't, and I've been on this self-discovery journey for quite some time. It wasn't till I was in my 50s, it was just 50, that I realised that I actually never saw Earth as being my home. So my body wasn't really my home, even though I was doing all those practices and that, but they led me to then discovering that it was actually my body and doing a cleanse that then the realisation came. And it was like a blinding flash. I've never actually seen Earth as my home. And how silly that actually is. Like, I'm going, that's pretty silly because I'm actually here, you know. So that was a really valuable thing for me to learn, and has allowed, that embodiment has allowed for me to really feel and move through things and release things, and in the process. And, you know, the recognition that we are physical beings and some things need to be done in our physicality, with our physicality.
Yeah, absolutely. And you and I have both worked with lots of people and lots of women specifically over the years. And for me, what I know is that so many women have that knowing. They have that cognitive awareness of, you know, that there's something greater or there's something bigger, and they somehow know that they just know stuff. And the challenge is, because we know stuff, we try to figure it out all the time, and we try to analyze it, and we try to understand why. And what that does is it keeps us stuck in our head. So when we take this space, and I know that I've been harping on it, I've been harping on it like this whole time, but when we take this space, I think that I said on the first day that literally this is the key to manifestation. Being present in our body is the key to manifestation and creating what we want. So you mentioned a cleanse. Any way that we can get an awareness of what's going on in our body. You know, when you do a cleanse, even if it's just like a one-day cleanse, you will gain an awareness of how your body's feeling at certain times of the day, because you're not giving it food, and how you're responding to that, and how you emotionally react to that. We've talked about emotional patterns, and so you're allowing yourself that ability to reconnect and to be in the space of, this is how I'm feeling. because it's only when you recognize how you're feeling that you can do something about it.
Exactly.
So these processes, and we're going to go through the specific videos that you're sharing with us, these processes that Annabelle is sharing with us, each one of them is connected to a particular element and has a specific, will bring up specific emotions for you because of the energy that it's invoking. Remember, we talked about on the first day in Christianity, you know, we call in God, and but the Eastern traditions invoke the gods and goddesses, or they invoke those parts of us, the connection to spirit, and that's what Qigong does. Because where does it originate from?
Well, it's I think across the world it is linked as well.
Yeah.
You know, there's various, and like the yoga is linked in there as well. There's different practices that have linking, but it is definitely an Eastern thing. So the word qi actually it means life force energy, which breath is connected with as well. And so Qigong is that slow movement practice, which also can help that stillness of mind. Like the mind always wants to have something to do. So when you give it something to do, and when we can narrow it down to a singular thing, allows everything to slow down, and then for us to drop into our body and our feelings.
That was what we said yesterday, wasn't it? When we started that process of simply connecting to our breath. When you focus on your breath, and you'll get to try this with I think Annabelle's first exercise, when you actually focus on your breath and you become aware that you're focusing on your breath, you can't focus on anything else. That you cannot put your concentration on anything else when you're breathing, and that's the beauty of breath. It happens automatically and keeps us alive, but when we bring our attention to it, we can't focus on anything else. So would you like to take us through each of the elements and each of the processes that these guys will be experiencing as they go through the exercises?
Yes, I would. And I'd also like to share the intention that I set.
Awesome.
And that links in with, I believe, the year ahead, and what we've all, this program, what's been worked out. So the exercises that we're going to share can be done as a whole session, and I'm not sure how long we took doing that, or you can individually do what you need when you need it in the moment to help work on the emotions that we'll cover. So,
and in relation to time, what I took away from when we were going through it was that you can actually take as long as you need with each process.
Yes.
So if you're feeling a particular process is working really well for you,
yes,
you might want to spend a bit more time with it.
Absolutely. And that's also the beauty and the learning of the connection with the body, just feeling into it and going, I'm carrying this energy, whatever it is, and I actually want to release it.
Yeah.
Or I'm feeling really flat and low in energy, and I would like to increase that energy. I'm feeling lethargic and I have things that I need to do. Let's raise that energy up. So the intention was about releasing. So there's ones there that you can, release and honour your body there. Gathering clarity, so getting rid of the clutter, and the practice in itself will do that, the breath and focus. Balance as well, so getting things, because sometimes we're, like I said, either too low or too high in energy, so getting a balance in that. And also inner peace and harmony, so ending off with that feeling of calmness and clarity, so that you can move forwards, and that purpose. So there's,
Nice. That's essentially what we've gone through in this 5 days on this course. We started off with releasing, and then the second day is about gaining more clarity and allowing ourselves to connect even more deeply. And then the third is about getting into flow, and then we're here with embodiment, and then we finish off with vision and purpose. So that's perfect.
It's perfect. And we did that without talking.
Yeah.
Nice. Which is pretty awesome. James will be happy with that. So I'm just going to touch briefly, because there's so much information, but we can be overloaded with information, and we don't actually want to put you into your head too much, but it is good to have a bit of an understanding and a feeling 4 things, so I'd like to just keep it fairly basic. The secret elements Qigong, which there are elements of it in my teachings, they incorporate, the same as kinesiology, the elements of fire, earth, metal, wood and water.
And there will also be a JPEG that's uploaded with these videos
just with
for you.
the basic sort of, and how they work.
Yeah.
And they all work with each other and balance each other out. And fire burns wood, and you need earth for it to sit on, and so there's all the links and interlinks. So this system is also has an element of the Taoist philosophy, which means they believe that you can get everything that you need from nature. So it's all there for us. And
because we are nature.
Exactly. So I'll drop that down. I was just going to say, drop that down to us, that we have everything that we need within us as well. So that's the journey of discovery that we're on. With the earth, like you were talking about the herbs and the things and the discovery and working out what resonates for you and what you need at any given moment, and it's the same with the emotions and the movements, and learning to trust ourselves and where you're being led, and working with the feeling of the resonance of that in any given moment.
Because we've talked a fair bit about control and the need to control because we're not trusting. So what I'm hearing is that when we connect with these elements through our body, we can learn to trust more, because each time we're connecting in, we're connecting with these elements, we're connecting with nature, we're connecting with that deep inner knowing, that part of us that knows we do have everything we need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So on that chart, the elements, and just briefly touching what organs and emotions that they're connected with as well. So again, I said, like, this is just on the basic level. So I think I started off with wood. So in the practices, we might put them in this order, or we'll label them anyway so that you know. Yeah. So with wood, you're addressing the liver and gallbladder. So energetically, emotions are connected to the organs as well through the energy meridians of the body. And so moving the body moves the energy that's flowing along those meridians. So you might find that there's blockages along those. So meridians are like...
nice. I was just about to ask you, what are meridians?
Yeah, so they're energy lines that are believed to be on the external, on the outside of your body, and it's like a flowing river of energy. So if you can imagine a flowing river, and there's a dam or a rock, a very big rock, or a block of wood blocking the flow of it, water's going to get held up and catch things, like leaves are going to gather and that sort of thing. So with the movement, you can help shift that blockage, the log or the rock or whatever, and then it can flow through, and the water can flow through and then become clear and run clear throughout the body. Acupuncturists do the same kind of thing, so people understand that a little bit too. So they're using that philosophy and that understanding of the body.
And just from what we've talked about already, remember that emotions are energy in motion. So emotions are energy that has to move. Yeah. So if you've got energy that's stagnant in your body, there's going to be blocks there. It's going to be like a rock in the river. So the water is going to have to use more force to get out, or it's going to have to find other ways to get out. But energy will always move.
And it's great if we can help it along.
So why don't we just help it?
Especially when it's actually quite so simple. And that's something that I've learnt. I think as humans, we are taught to complicate things. And I myself have been, caught in that trap of belief that it needs to be hard, and you have to work really hard to get a result, and that in actual fact is not the truth. Yeah. It's that slow movement, and water proves that slow movement of water can carve holes into rocks, and just by being consistent. So that's actually a really good thing to encourage the consistency as well. You do Qigong once, you're going to feel good on that day, or it might help you but it's that practice daily, or however, whenever you feel you need it. I would encourage that as well, and with yoga as well, that practice, or going for a walk.
Or just taking little bits away from it,
Yes.
If something like a downward dog in yoga makes you feel good,
Yeah.
then get up in the morning and you get out of bed and do a down dog, and all of a sudden you feel your body in the Create Perfect Health Challenge that you guys are getting as a bonus. One of the practices every day is the salute to the sun, and the salute to the sun energizes every single muscle in your body in a really short space of time. So it doesn't take a lot of time to do this stuff. It's the excuses that we give ourselves that stop us from actually helping the energy to move.
That's right. So it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. You just have to do it. Or you need to do it. And helpful if you do it on a regular basis. So, and be kind to yourself in the process. So listen to your body. And that's why I love the Qigong, because you can do it seated. If you feel like you're jammed up, or you can just 5 minutes and the energy's flowing. So there's quite a few little things that you can do in there to start your day, or to get yourself going, and just to get the flow of energy into you and then into the day.
And the wood one particularly, that's the one where we're doing isn't it?
Yeah, that's
so we're shaking it all out, and it feels so good.
Yeah, so that actually brings me to, so that's liver and gallbladder. So the emotions, a couple of the emotions connected with that are anger and creativity. So it could be, it's not good or bad, it just is what's connected with it. The fire element, which leads on from the wood, is to do with the heart and the small intestine. And the feelings there is mischief and exhaustion, and on the other side of it, joy and love. So if that's the practice where if you're feeling flat, it will lift your energy up and
that's the uplifting energy one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So which is awesome if but if you're really fired up and you're angry, then that's heat. So you think about fire. A water practice would be really good to do. Just bring your flames down a little bit.
And after we did the heat practice, that was when you did a rebalance, wasn't it?
Yes.
And just coming back in and just
grounding it in
and grounding the body.
That's right.
Yeah. With the breath.
Earth follows on to that, which is the spleen and the stomach. So worry, as well as confidence and calmness, sit in that area. And just to confirm that the spleen and the stomach are the meridians that you're talking about, aren't you?
Yes.
So
we're not going to go into that here.
No.
But if you want to, you can just you can Google meridians, and there's a whole bunch of information out there that can help you get a better understanding for it. If you're like, what are these two talking about? But we don't have the space to go into that here today. On this course, I mean, there's so much information that we can give you, as Annabelle said. But when she talks about the stomach and the spleen, she's talking about the particular energy meridians that are related to the stomach and the spleen, which is a Chinese medicine, Eastern medicine philosophy.
That's right. The metal element is next, which incorporates the lungs and the large intestine.
And that was a really nice practice. What
I
was that
love
practice?
that one. So that was clarity, to get the clarity for our purpose, and I think that's coming to us this year in January, that clarity and seeing what you need to do and where you need to head, and trusting in that would be really good. So that's.
And what really struck me when you were doing that practice yesterday, we talked about it afterwards, was when you told me that it was designed for clarity. What I felt as I was sitting being with you, because I wasn't doing it, was this sense of complete stillness and peace. And it's in that stillness and peace, again, here I'm on my bandwagon again, it's in that stillness and peace that we do find the clarity.
Absolutely. And with this practice, I actually included visualization, which is really handy to do as well. It goes back to the intention of something, and when you set your intention that this is what I want to do, like my brain feels scrambled, I feel ungrounded. So with ungroundedness, there's that earth element, but that to get that clarity, you just basically say, this is what I want, I'm ready to receive it. You do the practice and it will come. So, so...
we just have to be patient and release expectation.
Exactly. We'll just be there to receive it whenever. It's like, I'm here and I'm ready. Yeah.
Be open to receiving. And I know we talked about that yesterday with the giving and the receiving when we talked about the emotions. When we talked about the emotion session, which was 2 days ago, we talked about giving and receiving, and we will receive what it is that we're focusing on. So if we stay open to receiving what it is that we want, we will actually receive it. But if we focus on the fact that the belief that it's not happening how we think it should happen, or when it's supposed to happen, or we place all of these limitations on our ability to actually receive, which means we don't receive. We receive what we don't want.
Because that's where our energy's going. So we're like little magnets. So, just focus. Ask yourself, what is it that I really want? Rather than what I don't want, because the more you focus on what I don't want, the more you get of what you don't want. So that practice of metal, there's a lot of people on this course specifically who've asked, who've said that one of their intentions for doing this program was to gain greater clarity and confidence. So that metal practice specifically, if you were just going to choose one thing, I would highly recommend that you chose that one. In saying that, and this is something that's always really important to me, is that we can't sit in the stillness if we've got a whole bunch of toxicity and craziness going on in our system. So if you were gonna do the metal, I highly recommend that you do the wood practice before that, just to shake. And with little kids, they call it shaking their sillies out. So, do the wood practice, because you shake your sillies out and you're really helping your liver, which stores your anger. You're helping your liver to move that strong, fiery, uplifting energy out of your body. And then that's right,
spend time in stillness.
So what we're talking about, you can do in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like it's a big thing, but you don't have to set a whole hour aside, or, you can if you want to, but it's not necessary, which is the beauty of it.
Which is the intention, again.
Absolutely. So the last element is water, and I just want to mention that we're actually at the centre of all the elements. So even though there's 5, we're the ones that are in the centre of it, or the centre of the wheel.
As in our body is at the centre.
Yes. Yeah. And so that we are actually the final element, really. Element. Yeah. So with water, which I really love, so the fire is upward and outward, like it's an extroverted exercise, where the water isn't like an introversion. So coming in, so when you're feeling fear, or like you feel like your anxiety, you can then bring that energy in and down, and then calm yourself with the water exercise. That's to do with your kidney and bladder energy and meridians. So if you're feeling insecure or anxious, then you can, really look after yourself and nurture yourself with this one. Allow that energy to shift, and then you may need to bring it up a little bit as well,
And if you think of the kidney and bladder meridians, I mean, this is not rocket science, guys. Kidney and bladder meridians, they're actually about letting go. They're about releasing, and they're associated with grief and sadness. And because, the kidneys, they filter out our uric acid. So these meridians are helping us to let go and to move the water through our body. So when this is all steeped, we talked about on the first day, this is all steeped in symbolism, which is why I really love just being with Annabelle when she was going through the practices. I was able to feel it so easily, and that's why the children resonate with it so much as well, because they can feel it. And that last exercise that you did with the tapping, can you share that one as well?
That's basically activating the energy throughout the body. And again, that's actually a really good one to get everything flowing through everywhere without specifically working on, like if it's all too hard, just tapping on the body, getting that energy flowing through. That's a really good one to do at any time of the day. And it does, like, again, that's probably a 2-minute, exercise. And it just stimulates and helps clear, again, all the blockages, if there's anything, just to get that flow happening in the body.
And would you say that, if you think about the tapping of the forehead, for instance, if you're sitting there and you've got a headache, and we've been conditioned, we've been taught to reach for pain relief, what we're doing throughout this course is we're learning that, well, maybe we don't have to reach for pain relief.
No.
Maybe we can instead take a breath and consider a different way. So just doing that practice, doing that practice, just sitting, I've got a headache, okay, I'm just going to sit here and I'm just going to do this for a bit. And when you do that, if you do it now while you're watching, just feel how much it can just feel, bring you inwards and help you feel relief.
So with the tapping too, it's that those messages are like signals, and you're interrupting the actual set pattern of signals when you're doing that. So if you've got something going on, it will bring, it's like beating a drum too. It's like bringing a different rhythm to what you've got going on. I've got a beautiful story to share. So I practice emotional freedom technique, also has helped change my life. So things that I have learnt have basically changed my life, and I then want to share it with others. So so I've done that, and I have used that with my mentoring with people over the years.
And emotional freedom technique is this tapping process that we're talking about.
Yeah, there's tapping involved with that.
Yeah.
So I had this lady, this was years ago when I was still in Adelaide, come in the door, and her energy just flew in the door, and you could tell, she was just totally overwhelmed. And she came in and she was talking 1,000 miles an hour, and a part of the conversation while she was talking was like, and I've got this headache and I haven't even had time to have a Panadol, and she's like blah, 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 and it's just terrible overwhelming headache, and she just went on and on. I'm going, whoa. Anyway, so she's like, and I've got to take a Panadol, and so she was reminding herself that she needed to take a Panadol because of the headache, and I've just gone, can we just try something quickly first, if that's all right with you? And she goes, yeah, I'll try anything. Da, 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 da. So, I said, now breathing for a start was very helpful for her, Deep breaths, and we're just going to tap. There's a few specific points that we tap on. So, that the inside of the eyebrow, on the temple, under the eye, and then near the collarbone, and then breathing. Awesome. So we did that. Seriously, like I just did then.
Yep.
A cup twice.
Take us through that one more if you've got a headache.
Yep, just here. So using 2 fingers because it's negative and positive charge, just to balance it out to the on the soft part of the temple of the eye, under the eye, and then inside of the collarbone. I usually use 4 fingers for that because there's a big area, and you're vibrating that area. You're going to hit the spot that you need to get. You don't have to be that worried about it. Deep breaths. Because breath helps move life force energy, helps move the energy. It can also calm you down. So if you're anxious or anything, you can even add in the top of the head. So you're coming down the body, you're bringing that energy down the body and breathing. And then just stillness for a moment. We did that for about a minute. She stood there and she looked. She looked at me. What have you done? I mean, what do you mean? She says, it's gone. And I said, what's gone? The headache's completely gone. And it was overwhelming to her. Like, it was borderline migraine. But it was part of her, what she'd had the day she'd had, and the frustration and the fact that she hadn't stopped even to breathe or take a Panadol, which she didn't need. So, yeah, that was, I still remember the look on her face. It was like complete shock. How did that happen? That was great. Those great stories.
That the phenomenon of pain relief that's overtaken us. That you see it in the shops, or you see it everywhere on billboards. Don't have time for a headache, so pop a Panadol. Is associated with that emotional pattern we talked about of immediate gratification. But if you allow yourself to just take a minute to do that, you will actually notice immediate results. Now, we've talked about the fact that our endocrine system is our hormonal system, is our body's slow moving self-adjuster.
Yes.
And so this stuff that we're talking about affects our hormonal system. Annabelle you were talking yesterday about tapping the
thymus gland, which sits just here central.
So in one of the exercises, you actually talk about tapping the thymus. And when I was learning herbal medicine, my teacher taught me about that as well, because it helps with immunity. So these things, they're all associated to our endocrine system, which is our body's natural, slow-moving ability to create homeostasis for itself, which is balance. And when we can go to those as our first resort, we're actually helping ourselves to balance quicker than we would be if we reached for a Panadol, because the Panadol is just giving us that immediate relief, but it's just a Band-Aid.
Do you know, sometimes it's the belief that it's going to work that makes it work, because if it works fairly well straight away, it hasn't even had time to absorb in through your gut into your system anyway.
Yeah.
So and there's
books that have been written about that, about the nocebo effect.
Yeah, exactly.
It is our belief, and we've talked about it over the last few days. We've talked about our beliefs and how they impact what's actually going on for us.
Yeah. And then that gives the body something else to deal with as well then, because you've taken the tablet and the body's got to process it, so your liver is involved and, you know, your kidneys and everything is impacted, especially like if you do it over long term.
Yeah, and really good, that's a really great point, because in the emotion session we've talked about moving up the scale where emotion is concerned. And if you have been on antidepressants, or if you've taken a lot of pharmaceuticals, just, you know, like Panadol and things like that, and then you decide that you're not going to do that anymore, your liver has to clear that toxicity, because it's actually been filtering that for you. Your liver and your kidneys have been working to filter that for you. So there's a level of toxicity that's built up in your system, and when you decide that you're no longer going to take those, there's still a residue that needs to be cleared. So your liver has still been overloaded, and it's still clearing. So we can tend to beat ourselves up and go, well, you know, why do I still feel angry? And we've talked about the grief cycle, we've talked about all of those things. Why do I still feel angry? Because your body is still clearing toxicity. So if your body is still clearing toxicity, the best thing to do is to help it to clear that toxicity by moving your body, which helps it to clear the emotion and to move the energy in motion.
Exactly. Which makes it easier to do.
Easier. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that connection with nature that we spoke of earlier as well, and that thymus tapping. If you think about it, you know, the monkeys, they do the fist on the, you know, you've seen that. So that's the thymus area that they do it on as well, but also upper lungs. So that's upper lung areas to do with breath and breathing in. So in nature, they know what to do, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. They haven't got stuff in their heads like we humans have.
No, that's right. So we can learn a lot from nature, not just the animals, but yeah.
So is there anything else you want to share about these particular practices, or anything else in general about your...
Well, I'd just like to offer, if anybody has any questions about it throughout, you know, I'm on the forum as well.
Awesome.
Any difficulties. And also, if you have physical limitations, again, visualization of the practice. So you know how you said when you were watching it, you could feel it as well energetically. So there might be times when you're actually sick in bed and you can't move. To watch the practice, you can do the breathing no matter where you're at, and sync the breathing to and you can definitely do the tapping, or have someone do it for you. You know, just be gentle and listen to your body. That's really the best advice. Practice listening to your body and in getting better at it. You know, it's I love the word practice because that's really helped me, especially recently. That's what we're doing. We're practicing it. You know,
for practicing life.
Yes. And that opens it up. It's not about getting it right or having a destination. Like there's I want to get here and I'm here, and, you know, constantly changing that goalpost. Basically, I'm just practicing this.
Yep.
I'm practicing it, and it frees it up. And it can make it more joyful too, which is really important. Allow yourself to enjoy it. But yes, visualization, like there's a few ladies that have shoulder restrictions and they can't do those shoulder movements, you know, in the practice. Do it with the one arm that you can, or just watch as I do it, or visualize it, because they did those tests on, we were talking about that yesterday. Sports people, they put, this is years ago, they put electrodes on, I think they were athletes, marathon runners, or they put electrodes on them.
Yeah, they were athletes.
Yeah, and
athletes.
because they're used to practicing intention and visualization. So they visualize winning the game, playing the game, you know, they see the game many, many times before they actually play it. So prior preparation, and they had these electrodes on their muscles, and the people were sitting in chairs visualizing, and that their muscles were firing. So the electrodes measured that their muscles were firing as though they were actually running and or playing the game, even though they were sitting in a chair. So that is enough evidence for me anyway, hopefully, you know, for you as well. And like I said, look it up, the research, if you want to.
And be aware of it when you're watching the videos with Annabelle. I experienced it personally when because I was behind the camera with her when she was doing it, and because I wasn't practicing, I just wanted to make sure that the camera was working, and I wasn't practicing, but I was feeling I was feeling the intention and the power of the exercise simply by watching it and tuning in to the practice itself. So, you know, I had my own personal experience of it. So now that you know that, when you watch the videos, place the intention on just allowing yourself to watch and be with her as part of the learning process, and you will naturally receive the results as a result of that.
That's exactly right. And it's the practice.
Yeah.
Whenever I've had a break from doing things and not done it and I go back to it, it's like, oh yeah, now I remember. This is the difference, how much better I feel when I am practicing.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you to Annabelle. Thank you for sharing that with us. I think I think there'll be quite a few people that will take a bit away from it. And as Annabelle said, if you've got questions about it, you know, you can contact us. You can contact us at the email, or you can also put a question for Annabelle in the forum as well, because she's in the forum, and that's open for all of us for the next couple of weeks. So please check it out and watch the videos now, and you'll have an understanding of what we've actually talked about, and then, you know, refer back to this if you need to, and ask questions. Just ask questions. As James and I have said, don't believe anything we tell you. Find out for yourself, experience it, and ask questions. Yep.
So thank you so much, Kirsty, for asking me to be along with this.
Thanks for being part of it.
And thank you all, and I hope you have joy in the practice. Really enjoy it, and I hope it makes a difference to your lives like it has to others.
Awesome. Thank you.
No worries.